And with that, we bring in Matt Hasselbeck, who is appropriately wearing green. Well, you know what? I kept pushing back on Sirianni. I kept saying, what? Yelling at fan. What's he, a caller on WIP radio? What is going on? And you kept defending.
First time, long time.
And you just kept saying, you're wrong, Colin. So let's go back.
And you said you learned your lesson.
I did.
I actually don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I think you're saying what you know you need to say, but I think you still don't understand.
I don't.
How Nick Sirianni has been so successful.
Explain it to me.
Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're right. Explain it to me, because it looks at times so juvenile. And I'm like, be a coach. But they love him.
Love him. Absolutely love him. And listen, the first month of the season, people were calling for his head. Everyone on TV, everyone with a pen, a typewriter, whatever, has a Twitter account, they're calling for his head. But he kind of reminds me of Big Dom. I was trying to think about how I could explain this to you, okay? Big Dom. Everybody outside the building's like, man, what's this guy's deal? Stay back off the sideline. Like, what's your deal? Like, what's with all the... But, like, the people there, they would take a bullet for him. Like, that's their guy. Anybody that's been through Philly, my brother played in Philly. I know a lot of people that played in Philly. They're like, oh, Big Dom, he's the guy. It's kind of the same thing with Sirianni. Like, I know there's a little bit of strife sometimes. There's iron sharpening iron sometimes. There's some sparks. But, like, no, I think he is a legitimate coach. I think he's a great leader. And I just think he's got his team focused. So, no, I'm happy for him. I think he did an excellent job this year.
So you got to explain this to me, and it's easy to dump on Kansas City today, but as you know, you watch film and you prepare, and then you get into games, and you were in these games. You're like, oh hell, we can't block them. And then I always thought Tom was really good at this, because Tom there were a lot of times Tom did not have the best hand in Super Bowls or conference champ. I always thought those Baltimore teams had better players, but Tom was really good at manipulating the offense. Like, okay, I'm just going to get first downs. Let's just keep our defense off the field. Let's get to the fourth quarter. 34-0 is not a territory Tom was in. And again, I thought Philadelphia had better players. I said that all week. But it didn't feel like to me, Matt, that they adjusted. I felt like Kansas City was running the same deeper routes over and over. Am I wrong? I just felt like, okay, Patrick, shorten, quicker, manipulate, cadence stuff you talk about. I didn't feel like they had a second pitch.
Well, they took away one of his superpowers. And it did remind me a little bit of a Tom Brady Super Bowl early on when it was 28-3.
Yeah.
I'm kind of doing the math. I'm like, all right, that's 25 points. It's 24-0 here. Like, this could be his Tom Brady 28-3 moment. He's going to bring them back. They're going to go no huddle. They're going to do something. But what Vic Fangio and Philly did, one of the things that they did is they took away his superpower. And what I mean by that is that, and I mentioned this to you before the game, one of the things that Patrick Mahomes is as good as anybody at, maybe the best, is redirecting and sliding his protection, 6-man and 7-man protections, and finding the blitzers. And they didn't really blitz. Now, you're going to hear everybody on TV say they never blitzed. That's not true. Go watch the tape. They blitzed at least 3 times, but they were zone replace, fire zone type blitzes. They had Zach Bond blitzing. They had number 42. I think his name's blanking on his name right now, but they did blitz. But what they had him doing is they had him seeing ghosts at times, because it was a 3-man or a 4-man rush most of the time. It was an 8 people dropping in coverage or 7 people dropping in coverage most of the time, while Kansas City was committing 6 people or 7 people in protection. So what happens in a situation like that is you have your left tackle, right tackle, running back in for protection, blocking no one, and you have all these extra defenders in the secondary. And they were, yes, I agree, they were able to get home with a D-line pass rush the whole night, and it absolutely disrupted him. He was on edge, and then you saw the turnovers happen, very uncharacteristic.
I was lauding kind of the, Super Bowls are different, paralysis by analysis, 2 weeks to prepare. And of course he had great protection with the O-line, but he did have an ugly pick. When you watch Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's going to go down as one of the great pocket passers of all time, but you know what? It's not affecting him in Super Bowls. He's been great in both of them. When you watch Jalen Hurts, if you didn't if you had never heard commentary and you just watched 3 or 4 games of him, is there something that I don't see that you see, the art of playing a quarterback, that he doesn't quite get the credit he deserves? You as a pro quarterback for 18 years see it, and I just wouldn't see it.
He's very steady, never too high, never too low. He does a lot at the line of scrimmage. They call 2 plays a lot of times, saying is in like their bread and butter runs with Saquon. He's got the ball in his hands. Now he's reading a defender. He's either giving it or running it. They ran him quarterback lead a bunch. But you're right. He completed 12 passes past the line of scrimmage in the entire game. But they were big passes, most of them, fades, a post. But I thought if I were to give him like sort of like, hey, this is the thing you do better than anybody else. Could be tush push, yes, but I think in this game, third quarter, he had a scramble for 16 yards, 14 yards, 17 yards, and then another scramble that ended up as a 22-yard completion to Saquon Barkley. Those are backbreakers. Those are like the defense called the perfect defense, played it perfectly, and now the quarterback gets out and just absolutely like kicks us in the stomach, takes our breath away. And obviously the no critical errors when the quarterback on the other side turned the ball over 3 times.
You know, again, this is easy for me to do on a Monday, so I don't want to have recency bias. But if you go look at Patrick Mahomes' 5 Super Bowls, he's 3-2, and his passer rating's in the 80s. Now, I would think 2 weeks with Andy Reid would be such a prohibitive advantage. But when I watch the game, my take is maybe I've given him a little bit too much credit on the pre-snap stuff. And in the end, he's got a style. He plays it. He ad-libs. And he's not, I heard this years ago, he's not a film junkie. He's not bad at it, but he's not Brady or Breeze where he's literally staring at that thing 300 days a year. How does it not affect his legacy a little bit, Matt? I mean, to lose like that in one of the worst games a quarterback has played in the Super Bowl, how do I not? It sticks to me. I can't unsee what I saw, right?
Well, one of the best things about football, and you heard Nick Sirianni and many others talk about it last night, is it's the ultimate team sport. Like I've played my entire life. It's the ultimate team sport. And, I'll probably screw the quote up, but he said it over and over again. The whole team did. It's hard to be great when there's not greatness around you or something to that effect. I don't think the guys around Patrick played particularly well. You've got, right off the top of my head, 2 of the guys with the best hands, like maybe in all of this planet, dropping very easy passes to catch. But clearly he did not have a great day. And that's sports and that happens. But it is a team sport. And so, yes, the legacy and all that kind of thing. But there were moments when he was trying to put the team on his back. And again, I just think pass protection is huge. You think about how Kansas City even got here in the first place, beating Buffalo. Guys stepped up. I'm thinking of that Xavier Worthy catch when it should have been intercepted and he came down with it. Guys step up and do something above the X's and O's. And, the turnovers and then guys playing we're just beating ourselves. We're late off the ball. We're dropping passes. We're having penalties. It just was just not their night. I don't know what all went into that, but that was an unrecognizable team to me.
Yeah. I don't expect players to be general managers, but I said Philadelphia was so overpowering on the lines. It made me think if I was the Commanders GM or the Cowboys or the Rams or Packers or the Lions, I would say, guys, it may change free agency and draft opinions in those rooms. Is that when that Seahawk team was so relentless, you looked around, you're like, if we got to play those guys twice, we got to get better tackles. And I could be a little over the top here, but I did feel watching that game, man, if I'm Washington, I may go after Myles Garrett. I may go after Trey Smith. We're 9 players away from beating Philadelphia. You tell me as a player, did you ever have a team in your division where the guys were we need more dudes? This has to be an aggressive offseason.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a copycat league all the way. I mean, my rookie year was 1998. That was Randy Moss's first year. He absolutely destroyed the NFC that year, just destroyed us. The Green Bay Packers, what did we do the next year? Ray Rhodes was the head coach. We drafted a corner in the first round, the second round, and the third round because of Randy Moss. And we really didn't lose anybody either. It wasn't we got to replace some people. No, we just added. We got to figure this out. And like that absolutely happens. You go back to the New York Giants Super Bowl where they knocked off Tom Brady and the Patriots when they were undefeated. You got Michael Strahan, O.C. Umenyiora, Justin Tuck. Like they won it with a 4-man rush. The next year, everyone was trying to do the same thing. Like, hey, we just need this amazing 4-man rush. It makes all the guys in the back end, the back seven, look so much better. And then you think about the other Super Bowl that Patrick Mahomes lost to Tampa. Copycat league, like, oh, shoot, what's the formula? The formula is protection up front. We're going to overinvest in pass protection because that's the name of the game. So, yeah, this is a copycat league through and through. That's why when somebody said, they kind of had this idea, like, you do not need to pay a running back. You can go running back by committee. Everyone kind of went that way. Now, it'd be interesting to see with the success that Saquon had, how are people going to feel about that? Are we going to draft running backs high this year? Are we going to pay running backs in free agency? But no, if you look at what what Philadelphia Eagles and their defense did with a 4-man rush most of the night, then Myles Garrett added to a team is like a no-brainer. Yeah. And the beauty of it for him, I don't think he needs more money. I think what he wants is a great organization who will be relevant in January and has a quarterback that can go out and help them hoist the Lombardi. That's what he cares about.
Yeah. By the way, one final question, not related to the Super Bowl. We had talked about Aaron Rodgers, second NFL team, Packers, Jets, just said, hey, listen, we're going to move on. I don't know if he wants to play. That's up to Aaron. If you're Vegas, roll the dice or go. I mean, if you could do Aaron for a year or get one of the young college quarterbacks who you may not see as an A++, prospect, what do you think happens to Aaron if you had a guess?
It won't be Vegas. I don't see that for Pete Carroll. I don't see that for Chip Kelly. I don't see that. I do see Aaron Rodgers playing football. I don't see him playing for the Jets, obviously. But there is a team out there that absolutely would want Aaron Rodgers for a lot of different reasons. I think it'd be refreshing for him, rejuvenating for him. Who knows? Maybe it could be the Tennessee Titans. And, some people say like, oh, he's got a house there. Like, that doesn't matter to him. He can go get a house like that. Just like, right. He could probably Venmo with his account, for a house. But it's not so much that. I think there's an opportunity to go play in that Joe Burrow offense with Brian Callahan. Maybe you rub off on Will Levis a little bit and kind of like, I think he's a kid who has all the tools, but maybe just needs a little more savvy and tangibles, maybe a calmness that Aaron Rodgers can bring. And I think it might be fun. I think it might be fun for Aaron Rodgers to just get out of New York and just play somewhere else. So I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but that feels right to me.
Well, you were right. We have a new segment where Matt was right and Colin was wrong, and you just watched it for 20 minutes.
Twice a day, like a broken clock, Colin.
Hey, you've been great all season. We'll hear from you multiple times off season. Good seeing you, Matt, as well. Thank you.
Had fun, man. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.